Am I the asshole? For asking my niece to stop speaking French around my dyslexic wife? My wife Sarah and I am 30 have been married for 5 years. She's incredible, loving, and my favorite person in the world. Now, my entire family has tradition of learning and speaking French. It's always been a fun way for us to bond. However, for Sarah, it's been a bit of a challenge. Sarah has tried for years to pick up the language, but due to her dyslexia, she's found it extremely difficult. It's been a great source of frustration and insecurity for her, especially when we're around my family who like to speak French with each other. My niece, Eva, is staying with us for a while. She speaks English and French too, and understandably speaks a lot of French around the house. While I understand it's just a normal thing for her, it's been a bit upsetting for Sarah. She feels excluded from our conversations and she started trying to brush up on it, but it's just stressing her out and hitting a nerve. Given the situation, I approached Eva and asked if she could try to speak more English around my wife. I explained that it wasn't about controlling her choices but about helping Sarah feel more comfortable and included in conversations. Unfortunately, Eva didn't take it well. She accused me of prioritizing Sarah's difficulties over her comfort and claimed that I was asking her to suppress her identity. I'm not sure if I handled it the right way. Am I the asshole? For asking Eva to stop speaking French around Sarah. Info: in what way is speaking French a part of Eva's identity? Is your family actually French, or have you just been taking a lot of French courses over the years? You could always make a habit of replying to Eva in English. That way your wife should be able to get at least the gist of your conversations. The rest you can translate for her, if French is a part of your culture. If it is just a hobby you have, then just don't do it around Sarah. 1. Eva doesn't have the maturity to understand you would of course prioritize your wife too. She also doesn't have the maturity to understand that prioritizing someone else's comfort doesn't have to impinge on her identity. 3. Your request is reasonable. Eva is not not the asshole. Not the asshole, but there are some things you could do to mitigate your niece's lack of consideration. A gentle sit-down chat might be good if her ears are real, not plastic. To check she really does understand that this is not about her but about your wife's right not to constantly feel excluded in her own home, especially due to something she can't control which she's likely been made to feel stink about before. As someone else suggested, you could simply stop speaking French back to her when she does this in front of your wife. If you want to take it a step further and not just ban French in your home, also a perfectly reasonable option, when your niece speaks French in front of your wife, first translate what she said for your wife, then reply in English. Every single time. She'll probably cotton on, and even if not, at least your lovely wife will know you have her back. Good luck. Info: when your niece speaks to you in French, do you reply in French or English? Not the asshole. Your niece is being deliberately inconsiderate by excluding your wife in a language your wife struggles with. You should have a conversation with your niece about being welcome in your home, and you would hate to see that welcome compromised by her insistence on making your wife uncomfortable. Remind her she is a guest of you and your wife, and a guest is only welcome till they make a problem for the hosts. She needs to understand that being a guest means making sure that her presence isn't a burden on her host, and you wouldn't like to see her needing to find a different accommodation. Tell her you will always prioritize your wife and her comfort will never come first. Speaking French isn't necessary to her comfort, as she can converse in English easily, but your wife can't easily converse in French. Not the asshole. Your niece sounds pretty selfish. One of the rudest things you can do is purposefully speak a language someone in the conversation can't understand. And so when people are together, they use the shared language. Stop replying in French. Reply in English or don't reply at all. However, do you plan on continuing your funky family tradition if you and your wife have kids? Not the asshole. You all speak English, so you should speak this language since everyone understands it. Your wife shouldn't feel left out of conversations, and it's a sign of politeness to speak the language she understands. Your wife shouldn't be constantly wondering what you're saying in French. On the other hand, your niece has the right to speak in French if she's on the phone, since she's not speaking to you. But good luck trying to win an argument with a teenager. It's weird to see so many people pull out the racist nonsense of you having to have some sort of tie to a culture to learn a language. Almost half the world is at least bilingual. English is her first language, suppressing her identity? Give me a break. Not the asshole. And if Eva can't be bothered to speak in her first language so her host can both understand what she's saying, maybe she needs a new place to stay. I'm Cuban and traditionally we speak Spanish. We are able to speak English, so guess what language we use around my American in-laws? English? Because that's the polite thing to do. I'm not about to have strangers tell me what language to speak, but when you are in someone's home you should be respectful and speak the language you commonly share with whoever is present. Your niece is still young and is misinterpreting some social justice information to her advantage here. Whether she's conscious of it or not, I can't tell you, but some redirection and education is necessary here. Not the asshole. It was a reasonable request. Nah. My partner is from Argentina and speaks Spanish. Most of his friends speak Spanish. I can speak a little, but I understand more, like 50-80. Sometimes, I'm the only native English speaker in the room. Usually a conversation in Spanish happens, but then someone will check in with me to make sure I understood things. Y'all need to do a better job of translating, and your GF needs to do a better job of realizing that it's not to exclude her, it's how things are. If no one ever used Spanish around me, I'd never learn more. Being uncomfortable and not understanding things is part of the process. Personally, I would treat Eva like I treat kids who whine, I can't hear them. If she speaks in English, answer her, converse with her. If she speaks in French, then completely ignore her as if she hasn't spoken. It stopped my kids whining, so hopefully it will teach Eva that when you are a guest in someone's house, you gracefully do what's asked or go home. Your niece has main character syndrome. I'm actually a native French speaker from a francophone family. We never speak French when not everyone can understand. Even my grandmother and godmother, who speak English only with great difficulty. Start speaking to your wife in codes and inside jokes. See how Eva likes it. Not the asshole.